said, the government of Ethiopia finally said, we are going to have a stock market by 2020. It's in that one-page template. So what we now then need to talk about is what I'm going to present today. What would it take to have a successful capital market? In this case, specifically the equities market. We already have a debt market. We have treasury bills. We're going to have, I think, the secondary bond market, I believe, in 2019. If I'm not mistaken, maybe the NBE people can correct me. But what interests us most as private sector is the equity market. So what I thought I will do is a very brief slide. I'm just going to walk you through my thoughts. But the presentation says stock market in Ethiopia, institutions, regulations, and other support functions needed to make it successful. So, as always, I have my disclaimer. I think those of you who have seen my presentations, you've seen this, but I'll repeat it again. I was in Toronto last week giving a presentation to the Canadians about investing in Ethiopia, and I'll tell them what I told them what I'll tell you now, which is, it might sound simple, but this is important for firms like us, for people like us. All this says is, if you go and buy stocks and you do very well, it means you share it with me. But if it doesn't turn out as well, I just say, did you read the disclaimer? That's all that means, okay? That's all it means, folks. I work for a firm that has tons of lawyers, and they just say, we don't want to be liable for anybody investing and not doing well or making money and not sharing with us. So let me just start out with the basics. I know you all know this. You're very sophisticated. I just thought it might sound redundant, but I say, what is the stock market? It's a regulated marketplace where shares of public companies are traded. In its simplest form, that's what it means. Today, we do have a stock market. It's just it's illegal. There were people trading stocks under the table. Those of you like me who own shares, I own my shares by proxy anyways. If I want to sell my shares in Abyssinia Bank or United Bank, I probably have to go to the president of Abyssinia Bank or United Bank and say, do you know anybody who would buy my shares? That is already happening. And these institutions are very big. They have 20, 30, I mean, I told you, Jesus Works bank and insurance companies have probably 50, 70,000 shareholders. These are not tiny little entities. We're talking about, by Ethiopian standards, very substantial institutions that has tied up the wealth of hundreds of thousands of people with no liquidity. So what we're, and then these stocks are being traded essentially unregulated. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's good for the country. I don't think it's good for the shareholders, for the society as a whole. So what a stock market does is, in a regulated way, in a transparent way, it allows people to buy and sell shares. So that's all it is. As I've said this morning, it's not the panacea, it's not the solution, it's the cure for everything, but it's one of the bouquet of services, financial services offerings that we have. There are two types of things that happen in the stock markets. There's the primary, which when you do IPOs, initial public offerings, the company selling directly to investors first time around, and then there's the secondary market, which is what is happening now between existing shareholders, okay? That's all it means. It's a simple definition.